only thing I know. My family and me love them, yeah, for sure.
What's good, YouTube? Independent TV, and I'm back with another reaction video for y'all, my people. It's been a minute, but I'm back. I hope everybody having a wonderful day. I hope y'all staying home, warm, cozy. This snow is irking me at this point. You know, I'm not a big fan of the snow, but I hope everybody's safe. I hope y'all doing great. Today I got a video for y'all titled Bronx Gang War, the story of Keemi Balla and 6 Wild. My people, we finna see what this video talking about. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, my people. Let's go.
Okay, we back in the Bronx. We know that some of you want to know the background on some of the background guys. The street guys who are in entourages as muscle, did time in prison, or put work in on the street. Today, we are dealing with one man who has recently made headlines, Keemi Balla.
Police say 39-year-old Asia Moni Kelly and 37-year-old Wakimi Joseph are now facing drug and theft charges.
Hold on. Put it in the comment section!
You might have heard of Keemi,
And again, my people, y'all remember, y'all know how these money war, remember they was doing these money war stuff on the gram. You know how we seen a few individuals started getting grabbed up after that. You know what I mean? I don't want to call no names specifically, but a few guys grabbed up after that started. I guess once you start showing that money and all of this flashy stuff on the gram, I'm assuming an investigation started, or in some cases you see that they've been getting investigated, and the minute they start showing this stuff, I guess the feds said, listen, it's time to go in, it's time to grab up. But my young people, I'll suggest you just keep this type of activity off the gram. You know what I'm talking about? If you getting money like that, and you know, just keep it off of Instagram. It ain't for everything.
not half. Besides the headlines, he was seen moving around with Star Brim. After the whole 5'9" Brim indictment, Star Brim had dropped the brim off and was moving around with Keemi Balla. Keemi Balla is a well-known member of the Mac Ballers. Due to his connection to Star Brim, he would find himself in the presence of Cardi B. He would be around other influential people from the Bronx as well. When you're coming up and you gain a reputation in the streets, whether you're a gangster, ball player, dancer, rapper, you can either maintain your status or fall off. It's like 50 Cent said, "Damn homie, in high school you was the man homie, what the F happened to you?" Everybody takes losses, and you have to take some to really appreciate your wins. When it comes to the streets, it's a revolving door of crime, betrayal, pain, gains, losses and jail. Let's get into the...
And in some cases, people just hang it up, you know what I mean? Some people matured up and, you know, just go a different route. Some people say, listen, man, this fast money or the easy money or whatever it is not the route no more. I'ma still provide, but I'ma go the legal way and I'ma just do what I gotta do. And in many other cases, you know, some people having a hard time bouncing back from whatever the fall off may be, you know?
Life and crimes of Keemi Balla. Keemi Balla was born in the Bronx in the summer of 1988. He resided with both parents, 2 older brothers and, eventually, 5 younger brothers, in a 1-bedroom apartment in the South Bronx. His father was reportedly an intimidating figure within the community and often got into altercations. From a young age, Keemi was aware of his father's reputation. By some accounts, it seems that his father also kept guns in the home and otherwise participated in illegal activity to ensure that the family was supported. There was food on the table, appropriate clothing, and other basic necessities. Aside from the negativities within Keemi's home, the environment in the South Bronx was chaotic and unpredictable. The area struggled to deal with the overwhelming surge of violent crime, which for the entirety of the 1970s and 1980s, made South Bronx the murder, assault, robbery, aggravated assault and arson capital of America. The area was then heavily impacted by the crack epidemic that began in the mid-1980s. From a young age, Keemi was aware of what happened in his neighborhood. Killings, shootings, violence, robberies, you name it, it happened in his neighborhood. Although his mother tried to shield him from what happened, it was impossible to avoid. It was all just right outside. Despite the extreme negativities of Keemi's home life and neighborhood, he began school on time. He attended CES 90, George Meany School, for preschool through the 5th grades. Keemi recalled a difficult transition to his educational career because of ongoing violence. There were fights and people on the corner selling drugs. Sometimes you would hear gunshots in class or look out the window and see people chasing someone with guns. Despite the distractions, Keemi was reportedly an intelligent student who tried hard. He and his brother, Fresh, knew that their mother was strict about school and involved in the boys' early educational careers. Keemi advised that his mother made sure to discipline him and his siblings if they did not do well in school. If he did not get A's in his classes, he would not be allowed to go outside. Keemi Balla had to study his schoolwork and complete chores, such as washing the dishes. His mother also used physical discipline, but never crossed a line into abuse. As Keemi grew older, the violence around him turned personal. He recalled several instances when an older man from the community chased him and his brother as they walked to and from school. "We didn't know this person or why he was chasing us," Keemi said. "It was scary." After it happened multiple times, Keemi told his father, "He came to school with us so he could show that guy who he was." After a confrontation, Keemi, his brother, and his father turned to walk away, and the man shot his father. He was right there when it happened, right by the school.
So, like, I was just about to stop the video to say, what if that was somebody that wanted his pops the whole time and mess around was going to try to retaliate by attacking the son, attacking him? And being that the father and the brother came to defense, he got him, or it was just somebody tried to approach him, they came in defense, and rest in peace, the homie ended up getting, you know what I mean? My condolence to him and his family.
People were scattering everywhere. His father was hospitalized, and the man was arrested. That traumatized Keemi. His dad tried to shrug it off like it was nothing, but Keemi didn't want to go to school anymore. Following that incident, Keemi required a professional intervention to help him process the trauma. But he did not receive any, nor did his family talk to him about what he went through. It was just like something that happened and that was that. Due, in part, to this trauma, Keemi was left back in the 4th grade, but still tried to do well in school. He was smart and his teachers liked him. Following his completion of CES 90, Keemi progressed to Junior High School 145, where he remained for the 6th through 8th grades. On January 4, 2000, when Keemi was 11 years old and a student at 145, his father died of complications from diabetes. Everything started to fall apart. Without his father's financial contribution, the family...
So I said my condolence earlier, and I noticed, see, they said the father had shrugged it off, but my condolence now, I guess I thought when he got shot, maybe he didn't survive. I should have waited, but my condolence though.
Immensely struggled to make ends meet. Suddenly, there was no money for food, bills, or clothing. His mom's obtained low-wage work at a local McDonald's restaurant, but her meager earnings were far too insufficient to provide for 8 boys, all of whom were 13 years old or younger. The 3 oldest brothers, including Keemi, made it their responsibility to ensure that the family stayed afloat. As his older brothers entangled themselves with the drug culture that permeated the community, Keemi, as an 11-year-old, focused on his other siblings. Despite the pressure Keemi put on himself to ensure that his younger brothers...
Not gonna lie, not to cut the video, but just thinking about that, the struggle is real for certain people, man. That's why you gotta be grateful for whatever you have, or, you know, whatever your parents trying to provide for you or whatever they can, you know what I mean? I know sometimes the youngins, they going to school and, you know, they need the fly stuff and they need certain shit to keep up with they peers and stuff like that, and you know what I mean, they getting picked on because they look a certain way, this and that, and it forced them to go outside and trying to provide for themselves. And you just got to be grateful, man, for what you have and trying to make it the best out of your situation. Just go to school, get educated, because at the end of the day, when you take the fast route and stuff like that, and you see certain individual who then waited and just thug it out and ignore what they can and just go to school, and you know, some of them turn out to be, you know what I mean, something. You could get a good job, you could get a city job, you could even start a business, you could do all of this if, you know, unfortunately you didn't complete school. But I'm just saying, just stay down, try to ignore, you know, the wants, and just focus on your needs, because it's never a good ending in a lot of the situations, you know. Some situations turn out great, but you know what I mean?
Succeeded, he had no one to proactively guide him through his later formative years. As he looked toward to older siblings, Keemi only became more aware of the suffering that surrounded him in his neighborhood. He saw violence and other things that made him paranoid. He was always looking around, trying to see everyone and everything around him. He once saw a dead body, shot in the head with brains in front of him. He was only 13 years old. To help protect himself, Keemi often took different routes to school to avoid potential violence. However, Keemi was a big deal at 145. He was influential and had a thing about him. He wasn't soft, and he had the school on lock. If you know, you know. At age 14, Keemi's deepest fears were realized when he was shot at by unknown individuals. That was the first time, but it wasn't the last time. People shoot just because of where he lived. Turf wars between neighborhoods was common. Keemi's South Bronx community and other neighborhoods lacked a positive relationship with the police. They were taught from a very young age that police were not there to help them. There was a lot of police harassing people just for being outside. Everyone was a target. His mother once filed a complaint against the police when one of the siblings was excessively accosted by police. From then on, police stopped them even more.
Could be some type of retaliation, or them boys could have been just turning up, you know. But you know what I noticed? The Bronx seemed to always had a wicked reputation from like back in the days. Like, my people that's older than me, let me know in the comment, where you think had the worst reputations, like in the 80s, 90s? Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens? Like, because I keep hearing like some crazy shit about the Bronx, even though I hear some in Brooklyn also, but just in the Bronx, it's ridiculous. And it's still going, to be honest with you.
Keemi attended William Howard Taft High School beginning in the 9th grade in approximately 2003. The school was long one of the most troubled schools in the city and was slated to be closed around the time Keemi enrolled. The school's troubling past and lingering uncontrollable violence was palpable. People were being robbed for their jackets or anything else they had. No one was immune to the violence of the school and surrounding neighborhood. Not sure, but this is where he probably got acquainted with guys like J Mac Easy. J Mac Easy was very influential on the dance scene. There was a resurgence in young people dancing and getting light, similar to the b-boy days. He was a pioneer of that. The two might have been cool before that, but Taft was known to be one of the hubs for the dance scene. Word on the street, Keemi had already chosen the life of the street, basically by default. He was gaining reputation and became one of the spokespeople for his block, 6 Wild. 6 Wild is based on Finley Avenue on 166th Street, and they notoriously beefed with the 280 Crips. Word on the street, the crews were once linked, with 280 being the underdogs, and eventually defecting from whatever alliance they had. Not sure if this was before 280 were Crips or while they were Crips. There would also have beef with Clay Avenue and the Morris Avenue Gunners, a set of the YGs. However, we know that Keemi and Mighty were cool, with Mighty being one of the founders of the YGs. Paparazzi Poe, another founder of the YGs, once said that he actually grew up on 6 Wild. Some of the gang members at the top mingle or have ties, so it's the younger generation running around bugging. Then there are different politics on the street than in jail. We will get into the beefs as we go on in the video. As for Keemi, he was knee-deep in the shenanigans at this point, and he would have his first real brush with the law. In February of 2005, a 5-year-old Bronx girl narrowly escaped tragedy after being struck in the face by a stray bullet when she and her father walked into a burst of gunfire on a busy neighborhood street. She was holding hands with her father as they headed home from a supermarket around 5 p.m. when shots rang out on Morris Avenue between East 169th and East 170th Streets. The gunfire erupted outside the Bible Church of Christ at 1358 Morris Avenue as two groups of young men began shouting at each other before at least 6 shots were fired. "When I turned the corner I heard 6 shots," the father recalled. She started to clutch her cheek and say, "Ow, ow." Natalie had been struck by a single bullet on the lower left side of her chin. According to police, the bullet ricocheted off the sidewalk before hitting her left cheek, a twist of fate that likely spared her life. If the shooter was off by a couple of inches, this girl's injuries could have been a lot worse, a police source said. Dad said his daughter tried to comfort him even as she was bleeding. I got more nervous than her, he said. I was thinking the worst, that the bullet had gone inside. She tried to calm me down. She was telling me, I'm alright, Poppy. It was the luckiest day of my life. In the chaos, Ramo scooped up his daughter and rushed into a nearby alley, shielding her with his body until the gunfire stopped. There, he saw blood on his little angel's face and feared the worst. Natalie was taken to Lincoln Hospital, where she was treated for the facial wound and later released. By evening, she was back home with her family, sporting a small bandage on her cheek and sitting on her father's knee. I got shot, the kindergartner said matter-of-factly. It burned. She admitted the ordeal made her feel nervous. Her mother embraced her daughter tightly. She's my brave little girl, she said. Dad believes divine intervention played a role in his daughter's survival. The shooting was in front of a church, and she's okay, he said. God was looking after me. I think God was looking out for her from the church. Police canvassed the neighborhood late into the night searching for the shooter. For the family, the terrifying episode ended in relief rather than heartbreak, a close call that could have had a far more devastating outcome. On March 30th, cops arrested Keemi, who was 16 at the time. It was said that he made incriminating statements. This case was solved by good old-fashioned police work, a source said. Keemi admitted he fired the round that grazed a little girl. He was charged with assault, reckless endangerment and weapons possession. He later pled guilty to criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. After being adjudicated a youthful offender, he was sentenced on May 4, 2005, to an incarceratory term of 16 months to 4 years. Although still only 16 years old, Keemi was sent to an adult prison. There was ongoing violence. Stabbings, cutting, riots, they happened every day. If you weren't fighting, you're a target. You had to fight for everything, the phones, commissary, to sit in a chair, even for cereal. He learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah, them jails was different back in them days, man. Like, even in them early 2000s, shit, them shits was different. I know they still wilding in jail. Jail gonna be jail regardless, but like, shit was different. You hear a lot of stories from back then compared to now. Major different, man, even though it's a horrible place in general to be in at any time. But
as one of the youngest individuals in the maximum security facility, Keemi was a target and was cut in his face. Anything can happen in the snap of a finger. The minute you let your guard down, you're going to get got. As a result of the aggressive and unpredictable environment, Keemi's hypervigilance and paranoia of those around him only grew. However, he completed several programs within the prison, including educational courses, vocational training, and anger management. In March 2009, at age 20, Keemi was released from prison and returned to the South Bronx. So much changed, and not for the better. It was more like a war zone, shootings every day. Word on the street, Keemi and his brother Fresh contributed to the crime. Around 2011, a video would drop titled F280, 6 Wild Up. It featured Keemi and other members of 6 Wild. On August 24, 2011, Keemi and a friend, Eli, were arrested and charged with 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. Allegedly, the arresting officers approached somebody at 2007 Infinity and observed Eli sitting in the rear passenger seat and Keemi in the front passenger seat. The arresting officers then observed a loaded .380 caliber semi-automatic on the rear center armrest, next to where defendant Eli was seated. Upon further investigation, the officers discovered a second loaded .380 caliber semi-automatic inside the trunk. The CRS owner, Addo, then approached the vehicle and stated to the officers, "This is my car." Addo further stated that earlier in the evening, he observed Eli with a gun and watched Keemi place his belongings in the trunk. When the officer said it was a black gun in the trunk, I already knew it was his because I have seen him with it before. Not sure what came of the situation, however, around this time, Keemi's brother Fresh was shot while walking in the community. He reported that he was caught in the crossfires. The incident only further normalized violence within Keemi's life, and, the following year in 2012, Keemi was shot. Keemi walked into Bronx, Lebanon hospital with a single gunshot to the left buttock. Up until this point, there was crime, money, partying and woman. This was the life. Keemi had become one of the most prolific members of 6 Wild. They are one of the more known Mac Bowler neighborhoods in the Bronx, like Webster. Here he is with French Montana. When you mentioned any hood, there were a few people that stood out, and Keemi was one of those guys. Keemi was arrested in June 2013 at age 24. This was a part of the sweeping 6 Wild indictment. Let's do a little background on that.
Man, them youngins is dummy, and they do as I say.
In the hood, flipping onions, hit my youngins with packs.
In 2016, New York City Police Commissioner Raymond W. Kelly and Bronx District Attorney Robert Johnson announced the arrest and indictment of 11 leaders and members, ranging in age from 19 to 24, of a violent drug-dealing street gang, 6 Wild. Jamaica Joseph, aka Fresh, and his brother Keemi Joseph, aka Problem, were already in custody on prior charges filed by the Bronx District Attorney's Office. Jamaica Joseph was arrested on October 4, 2012, at 1041 Finley Avenue, where police seized 2 ounces of cocaine at the time of the arrest. During the course of the investigation, police seized 2 firearms from juveniles associated with 6 Wild. The gang amassed large quantities of narcotics and cash through violent home invasion robberies, in which victims were severely beaten. The 58-count indictment charges the defendants with conspiracy to commit attempted murder, robbery, assault, narcotics and weapons possession and sales, and substantive counts of robbery, burglary, assault, menacing, strangulation and drug possession. 3 firearms were seized in the course of the probe. 6 Wild operates in the Morrisania section of the Bronx, from around Clay Avenue to College Avenue, and from East 165th Street to East 167th Street. During the course of the conspiracy, members of 6 Wild were involved in at least a dozen retaliatory shootings stemming from turf battles with rival groups, such as the 280 Crips. On July 28, 2011, a member of 6 Wild fired into a crowded restaurant where members of 280 were gathered. The gang used 2 adjacent buildings at 1041 and 1055 Finley Avenue as their base of operations and as stash locations for narcotics and firearms respectively. Members of 6 Wild are believed to have carried out approximately 2 home invasion robberies each month during the course of the 2-year conspiracy. The indictment charges 6 Wild members with conspiracy charges for these robberies, as well as substantive counts to 3 robberies that took place in February 2012. Jamaica Joseph is charged in all of the 3 robberies of innocent victims that took place in February 2012. Dashin Hill, Lionel Johnson and Keemi Joseph are charged in 2. In plotting these robberies, gang leaders attempted to collect information about suspected stash locations used by cocaine and heroin dealers. Female juveniles associated with 6 Wild assisted in this process. Under gang leaders' direction, a female would befriend the intended victim in advance of the planned robberies and learn what she could about drugs, money and the best time to strike. Then, on the day of a robbery, the same female associate helped the robbers gain entry, in some cases texting the robbers from inside the target location. The robbers carried stolen bags by designers Gucci and Louis Vuitton to the robbery locations in order to transport the loot. Once inside the location, members of 6 Wild typically held a gun to the victim's head and threatened to shoot if their demands for drugs and cash were not met. In each of the 3 February 2012 robberies, the victim was beaten and in some cases choked. The robbers stole cash, jewelry, cell phones and other valuables. In one robbery of an innocent victim on February 7, 2012 in the Bronx, Jamaica Joseph and other gang members set out to rob a drug dealer, but encountered the man's brother instead. The brother was not involved in the drug trade, and there were no narcotics in the residence. Nevertheless, the robbers held a gun to the brother's head and then beat him unconscious with a heavy frying pan and a door ripped from an entertainment center. They stole bags, jewelry, clothing and money. The robberies of innocent victims were reported to the police. In addition to witness testimony, private security cameras recorded activity in 2 of the robbery locations. Video surveillance shows the robbers going in and out at the time of the crime. Facebook messages and text messages from participants' phones corroborate this evidence. When drug dealers were targeted, members of 6 Wild stole large quantities of narcotics, in addition to cash and other valuables. One of the larger hauls consisted of 3 kilos, 6.6 pounds, of cocaine. Following the robberies,
So how the hell they be knowing so much in some of these situations? Is either somebody been telling or people then cooperated for like plea deals and shit like that? Because they be knowing all the details. What bags used to be brought where, who used to do what, times, date. That shit wicked, man.
Members of 6 Wild would repackage the narcotics and distribute the drugs among members of the gang for resale. Other stolen property, such as cash, jewelry, cell phones and computers, was either distributed among gang members or sold. Members of Six Wild held regular meetings at 1041 and 1055 Finley Avenue, where they discussed making money, the purchasing of weapons and disputes with rival groups. Six Wild was engaged in at least a dozen violent confrontations with rival groups during the course of the conspiracy, including a gang known as 280 and associated groups, Clay Avenue Boys and Morris Avenue Gunners, during the course of the investigation. And the majority of the retaliatory shootings took place in the Bronx, while at least one took place in Harlem. Communal firearms were controlled by gang leaders, who directed juveniles and female associates to transport the weapons from place to place. Police seized 2 firearms from juvenile associates of Six Wild during the investigation. Weapons were also stored at 1055 Finley Avenue, the home of defendants Dante Sheard. During the investigation, police learned of a drive-by shooting at this location. Jamaica Joseph was shot on or around the same day as this drive-by shooting. Code words for criminal activity included terms such as grip, Glock, tool, and bike for firearm, and krills, grams, yams, and grizz for narcotics. In 2015, the police had arrested more members of the gang in the Bronx in an overnight takedown, following a 6-month-long investigation by the NYPD gang unit. 2 major homicides that gang members allegedly committed included the December 2014 death of 27-year-old Timothy Hairston, who was shot multiple times outside a pharmacy on 165th Street and College Avenue, and the May 2015 shooting of 14-year-old Christopher Duran. The members also stand charged with crimes for 5 non-fatal assaults, one of
See, once kids start getting involved, like that little girl and this little boy right there, they not playing, bro. They going hard. They be on them now, like, you know what I mean? Thank God the first little girl survived and it wasn't crazy, just a little graze, but condolence to this little 14-year-old right here, but they be going hard. Them boys crack down on you a little harder when it's like kids and innocent victims involved. They be on that case forever. In some cases,
which was a stabbing. The rest were shootings. One of the indictment charges is that Cesar Rivera, aka Cess, the leader, posted a hip-hop anthem to Facebook allegedly describing how they hustle young gang members to do most of the action, as they would supposedly not face as much prison time. Another member of the gang, Travis Block, 28, used the gun to pump 16 bullets into 14-year-old gang rival Christopher Duran as he walked to school a month later. Authorities eventually tagged Jeremiah Thomas, 16, as Block's accomplice in Duran's killing instead. Suspected that Block was exacting revenge against Duran's 17-year-old brother. Travis Block was arrested in Binghamton on accusations of...
So was that the same little 14-year-old that the lady had a picture with? He was a gang rival, or that was an innocent 14-year-old and this is a different 14-year-old? So I'm kind of lost. I don't really want to go back, but I'm kind of lost. That threw me off a little bit.
Selling marijuana. Cops did a records check and found Block was wanted for murder of Christopher Duran in New York City. Christopher, aka Joppy, had 5 previous arrests and was part of the notorious 280 gang. They said Block was a career criminal with 29 priors and arrests dating back to age 10, and that he wore a red bandana on the day of the slaying. He got 50 years to life. In recent times, there had... While detained as a part of this indictment, Keemi was again arrested in April 2015. He was convicted of attempted robbery in the first degree and attempted conspiracy in the second degree, respectively. He was sentenced to an incarceratory term of 7 years on the first.
Thing, bro had the Louboutins in jail. You see, boy had the red bottoms. Boy, he was living good in jail.
Case, and 4 to 8 years on the second to run concurrently. While serving his time, Keemi continued to experience hypervigilance as he was thrust into yet another violent environment. He was the victim of a slashing in October 2019, for which he received upwards of 20 stitches. He now has a scar running from his mouth to his ear. Furthermore, in approximately 2019, Keemi learned that his youngest brother was shot in the head and lost an eye. Keemi was still incarcerated at the beginning of the COVID-19 global health pandemic that shut down New York and much of the rest of the world, starting in March 2020. According to a report, conditions inside, including many people sleeping 40 or 50 to a room, with limited or no access to soap and no ability to create social distance, make it impossible for people to protect themselves. He contracted the virus in March 2020 and recalled a period of approximately 2 weeks when he had no sense of smell or taste, had a cough and body fatigue, and a fever. Keemi was released from custody in June 2020. He was paroled to a former girlfriend's home in another section of the South Bronx.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
We see, nigga.
Yeah, you see what's going on, man. We here. We here. Yeah.
Transitioning to his newfound freedom after being detained for the better part of a decade was difficult. Things changed so much in 8 years. There are new people, new buildings, technology is different. Furthermore, many of Keemi's brothers had their own families and children. He came home an uncle. Seeing the change in his brother who was shot was a difficult reality for Keemi. It really hit him after he came home. 1 week later, he and a female friend were in a vehicle when they were forced off of the road and shot at, possibly by the same individuals who shot his brother. Needless to say, no arrests were made in that case either. Thankfully, both Keemi and his friend escaped unharmed. On July 21, 2020, less than 1 month after Keemi Balla was released from state custody.
I'm not gonna lie, I remember seeing this. Was it I forgot what brand it was, that photo shoot. Was it Yeezy or another brand or something? I think I seen somebody post him on YouTube channel saying he was trying to model or something like that. I seen this photo.
Keemi Balla was arrested in
and this prior to seeing the arrest report on him. I seen this photo.
The vicinity of 165th Street and Finley Avenue in the Bronx, in possession of a .22 caliber firearm.
But at the time, I didn't know who the individual was when I seen this photo, or one of those YouTubers or somebody reported on it.
Approximately 2 weeks before Keemi Balla's arrest, several NYPD officers received electronic notification that Keemi Balla had recently been released on parole. The notification included, among other things, a photograph of Keemi Balla. After learning of Keemi Balla's release, NYPD officers were also informed that Keemi Balla was on parole, and that his parole conditions included, among other things, an 8 p.m. curfew and a ban on alcohol consumption. On July 21, 2020, at approximately 10 p.m., NYPD officers observed Keemi Balla in the front passenger seat of a parked SUV on Finley Avenue. The officers, recognizing that Keemi was out after curfew in violation of the terms of his parole, approached the vehicle Keemi Balla was sitting in. Simultaneously, Keemi Balla appeared to remove something from his waist with his right hand and push it down towards the floor of the vehicle. Keemi Balla continued to reach towards the floor despite being instructed to stop. Eventually, the officers grabbed Keemi Balla's arms to prevent him from reaching and removed him from the vehicle. The officers placed Keemi Balla in handcuffs and observed the floor of the vehicle where Keemi Balla was sitting, but found nothing. One of the officers noticed, however, that Keemi Balla appeared to be slouching towards his right side. Another officer checked Keemi Balla's right side and observed the firearm sticking out of Keemi Balla's right shoe. The officers removed the firearm from Keemi Balla's person and placed him under arrest. On or about July 22, 2020, Keemi Balla was charged by complaint with a single count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. On or about August 18, 2020, Keemi Balla was charged in a single count indictment with the same offense. We believe that Keemi did some time for the firearms offense.
Shit me? Shit me? We outside. We outside. We outside. We outside. We acting fucking bad. Shit me? What the fuck are they talking about?
At one point he was running around with Star Brim.
Outside. I'm on niggas blocks right now. What's up? What's up? I'm outside, nigga.
I'm not gonna lie. You see, when certain individuals be outside and they still be beefing and shit like that too, sometimes when they get away and go sit down for a little bit, sometimes that helps save certain people life, you know. Not saying in this specific situation, but certain people that be beefing, them little vacation they take, go sit away and get booked for a minute, be saving their life, man. Because if they would have been home sometime, not saying niggas can't take their life in jail too, but if they be home sometime, some people be applying pressure because they want to see you out the way. When you know, some people be jealous. They seen you getting more bread than them. You flexing that shit. They seeing that every day. They like, nah, I gotta go get this nigga up out of here. You know what I mean? But not just in this specific situation, just in general. You know what I mean? I'm glad everybody Gucci in this situation.
That shit crazy.
Hey, yo, stop. Hold on, stop.
Hold on. That's how the bed be rocking.
Yes, sir. How you doing? Don't stop. Don't stop. It's okay. It's love. It's love. You good. You good. It's beautiful though.
And now we see him in this situation.
Hackensack police confiscate over $770,000 worth of stolen treasury checks, 100 bags of cocaine, and over $15,000 in cash. This after raiding a luxury apartment. Police say 39-year-old Asia Moni Kelly and 37-year-old Keemi Joseph are now facing drug and theft charges. Officers also discovered stolen credit cards and a fake driver's license inside their shared apartment. Joseph was also wanted on 3 outstanding warrants, including for forgery out of Massachusetts.
Word on the street, he has been released. But this about wraps this one up though, and as always, stay low and thanks for watching.
Son probably out on bail, man. Well, there you have it, my people. That's it for that right there, man. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You already know the whole 9. We out of here, man. I'm gonna get ready to prepare another video, chef up another video for y'all, my people. I gotta drop some video back to back, man. I ain't dropping video for a minute. I've been working and all that. I got some time now, so we back. I'm back, baby.
Loyalty the only thing I know. My family, yeah, me love them, yeah, for sure.